wrestling fans. Not sports entertainment fans. Professional wrestling fans. Professional wrestling. This is it. This is us standing up. This is
the Wrestling Matters Podcast, a podcast that stands up for professional wrestling. Why? Because wrestling matters. So join the revolution, because the revolution is now.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change.
professional wrestling. This is it. This is us standing up.
Yes, 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 yes.
That's 13-14.
Cena, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so.
Hope you're well, you beautiful people. That's right, it's time for another installment of the Wrestling Matters Podcast, episode 76. It's me, Zedhead at your service for another installment, that's right. Hope you've had a good week, what it is you are doing. Welcome, and thank you for taking the time to tune in to the fastest rising podcast on podcast land. That's right, it's me, Zedhead, like I say, at your service. And on today's show, we are going to be talking professional wrestling, because that's what we do on this show. We're going to talk Raw, we're going to talk Smackdown, talk TNA, Impact Wrestling, we're going to talk NXT, and yes, we're going to talk Ring of Honor. Also, guys, I'll come up with this, and I'll say this towards the end of the show as well. I'm going to be talking about WWE 2K16. That's right, 2K16 roster was out this week from what I got on the WWE.com, and yeah, I thought I'd give my 2 cents in, and I will do that later on in the podcast. Also, I've got a few ideas as well that I'm thinking of doing. Whether or not to do or not, I don't know. But hey, I'd like your input. We'll have to wait and see as well. But until then, guys, I want to talk about topics, because I have some topics that I want to talk about. And before I get to my main topic that I want to talk about, that I saw on YouTube again, more on that in a second, I read this week on Twitter, and I even retweeted it, using my, I believe it was my @Tony_Walker Twitter page. That's right, @Tony_Walker on Twitter, WM Podcast as well. It said something about Kelly wanting to return, or WWE or Kelly considering coming back to WWE. Now, I don't have a problem with that. I actually like Kelly. Wrestling ability wise, well, I'm sure you have your opinions about that. Yes, she was the extreme expose girl that was the, on the WWE's ECW and whatever. I don't think, if she's going to come back, she needs to really take wrestling training and improve. Really do some wrestling lessons as well. Yes, she was Divas champion and blah, 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 blah. But she needs to improve. And I mean improve a great deal. Because with the standard that the WWE Divas division has now, with Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and the NXT girls as well, I don't think she could be able to compete. Unless she, ups the game a little bit and comes back a whole new Kelly and a whole different Kelly to what it was the first time around. That's my opinion on that. Like I said, I'll have no problem with her coming back. But if she's going to come back, she needs to up her game big time, because like I've said before, and I'll say it again, the WWE Divas, not necessarily saying all of them, but the WWE Divas cannot hold a candle to the NXT girls. The NXT girls have started this revolution, Triple H in general, because he's the leader of NXT. The NXT girls started this revolution, and they're bringing wrestling back to the Divas division, and the women's wrestling is back. If Kelly is going to come back, she seriously needs to up her game. Otherwise, she'll get the floor mopped with most of the talent that they have on that roster, especially if she goes to NXT. Now, that's all I got to say about that topic. Now we get to my main topic that I saw this week as well, that caught my eye big time. And again, they strike again on YouTube, guys. Check them out, please. They do some great stuff on YouTube, some great content. Again, links will be in the description below. It is What Culture WWE. That's right. I love these guys. These come out with some, whoever runs this channel, whatever, they don't have come out with some interesting topics and some interesting things, and also things that we don't know as well, which is fucking phenomenal. And, I talked about Justin Bieber competing at SummerSlam. I still can't get over that. But this one is a little bit different. It is the 10 times that WWE purposefully, I can't say that word, but I'll try again, purposefully, there you go, lied to the fans. And yeah, you might be shocked on a couple of them, especially if you went if you went watching WWE back in 2003, 2004 time. Number 10 is John Cena Never Give Up. Now, John Cena comes out nowadays, you know, you've seen him when he uses that shirt thing that he does on his entrance and goes, never give up. And WWE have promoted the fuck out of this guy to the point where he's never promoting. You know, he's never given up. Holy shit. But what WWE don't want you guys to know, and thank you WWE, What Culture WWE on YouTube, is because something that I remembered back in the day that I actually forgot about, and What Culture picked up. Because if you go back to a recent edition of Smackdown, Cena did tap out to somebody who WWE doesn't want to mention. I'll get to that in a second though. But overall in his career, John Cena has tapped out 3 times. And on 2 occasions, at No Mercy 2003 and No Way Out 2004, he is tapped to Kurt Angle. No Mercy 2003 was a one-on-one match, and I believe, if I remember correctly, 2004 was a triple threat match, if I remember correctly, which built up for him and for Angle and Eddie Guerrero at WrestleMania 20. And I believe it was the Big Show, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was the Big Show that was involved. It was Angle, Cena, and I'm pretty sure there was a Big Show. I don't know if it was one-on-one. I can't remember if it was one-on-one or triple threat as I'm doing this. I might have to recheck that, but I'm pretty sure it was a triple threat match. I might be wrong. Either way, Cena did tap out to Kurt Angle, which allowed Kurt to advance to WrestleMania 20 to face Eddie Guerrero, God rest his soul. Now, the third one was on a recent edition of SmackDown back in 2003, because John Cena tapped out to Chris Benoit. Speaking of Chris Benoit, he's number 9. Chris who? Now, we all know, considering what happened with WWE, Chris murdered his family, and, you know, WWE don't want nothing more to do with him and vowed never to mention him again. But if you look up Chris Benoit on the WWE search engine, he comes up with an ECW thing, an ECW video of Chris Benoit. But what WWE also failed to mention is they've made it difficult on the network to search Chris Benoit. But I can promise you this right now, I can pretty much guarantee you, if you look on there, especially I believe in WCW, as well as Nitro's on there from 95 to the end of 96, I believe, as well. Chris Benoit is on there. So if WWE did not want to mention Chris Benoit, why have they got him on the network still? You know, you've got a funny way of showing it. You'll never mention him on TV and whatever, but then again, you've got him on the network. You know, they can't do that. They can't deny that though, which is cool because they can't deny it. It just makes no sense. But at the end of the day, that's WWE for you. Number 8 was Stone Cold Steve Austin at Survivor Series 1999. Now, we all know what happened to Austin at 99. He got ran over. Prior to that pay-per-view, WWE already had got word that he wasn't going to wrestle for a year. And he had to have surgery. And WWE, being the company that it is, doing anything for pay-per-view buys and buy rates and whatever, they promoted the match that wasn't going to happen, all in all, which was Triple H, Rock, and Austin. They still promoted the match. And then on the pay-per-view, they pulled the stunt with Austin running him over by Rikishi, although I doubt Rikishi was even in that thing. I don't know, it might be. They might have had a stunt double for all I knew. But they pulled that angle where he got ran over, and then on the same night, pulled Big Show, and Big Show ended up winning the championship. So basically, that was WWE's way to get a buy rate, because they knew if they promoted the Big Show and replaced Austin with the Big Show before the pay-per-view, they might not got the buy rates they did, you know, because people bought the pay-per-view to see Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, and Triple H. You know, 3 of the top guys in the company in a triple threat match looking to beat the fuck out of one another. But it didn't happen, because before the pay-per-view, Austin got word that he couldn't wrestle for a year, he wasn't going to get medically cleared, and he had to have surgery. That's why they put the run-over angle on when he got ran over by Rikishi, which led it to be, I did it for The Rock. Please. Still haunts me to this day, that I tell you. Number 7 is an interesting one. WrestleMania 3's attendance. Now, 93,173 was the actual overall attendance. But from what I've got on the video, various sources, including one Dave Meltzer, and depending on how you see it, some people may call him the biggest shits there in the history of the world. They say, well, relatively sources say it was close to 80,000, round about the 80,000 mark. Dave Meltzer has it that it was 78,000. I don't know what you guys make of that. I don't even know what to make of it myself. You know, how can you fucking lie on attendance? It's the most stupidest thing ever. You know, were they that embarrassed? If that's the case, were they that embarrassed about 78,000? 78,000 is still good, you know? Hell, even 80,000 is still good, but no, they had to pull one they made up, 93,100, if that's the case. I don't believe it personally, but hey, WWE has pulled some stunts in the past, so there you go. Number 6, nudity in ECW. Now, I'm not talking about the old school version of ECW. I'm talking about the watered down WWE version. Now, everybody knew back in the day the ECW that WCW tried to make didn't work. Didn't work at all. Now, the ratings stunk, so WWE tried to go the full force and promised nudity. Now, they dedicated a show that was going to have the divas at the time, people like Candice Michelle, Maria Kanellis, and Kelly Kelly, in a strip poker game, which I believe was hosted by Balls Mahoney. And they pulled out all the stops, but as far as the nudity goes and what they were trying to do, that didn't happen because apparently they went down naked and everything, but apparently they used covered up things to cover up the certain parts of the body and everything. So basically, they pulled the wool over, WWE and the fans. So basically, the nudity that everybody was expecting to see did not happen. Technically. And you wonder why that ECW fell apart. One of many reasons, believe you me. Number 5, the age of the World Heavyweight Championship. And I'm not talking about the WWE title you see to this very day. I'm talking about that big belt, the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, many of you people expected it to be, it is been around now for close to 11 years, the WWE version. Everybody thinks, or seem to think, it goes back to George Hackenschmidt and Jim Melendez and Buddy Rogers back in the damn day. Doesn't. Because what you saw on TV for about 11 years was WWE's own big belt. It wasn't WCW's version, which did go back to the George Hackenschmidt and Jim Landis in the old NWA days, because that's what they replaced with the NWA when Turner bought out WCW, or the NWA even, whatever. So the WWE World Heavyweight Championship belt you saw for 11 years was not the one that went back to George Hackenschmidt and Jim Landis and all them, and had that much prestige on it. So basically, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship belt had about 11 years prestige. Go figure. Anyway, number 4, Cena leaving WWE in 2010. Now, the angle was Cena big feud with the Nexus and one specific person in particular, Wade Barrett. And it came down to a point where at Survivor Series, Cena was going to referee, and if Nexus, i.e. Wade Barrett, did not work out with the championship, Cena would leave WWE for good. He put his career on the line. And that did happen. And Cena came out the following night and gave a farewell speech. But the only thing was, it lasted 7 days, didn't it? Because Cena came back and jumped the Nexus and threatened to beat the Nexus up and kept on beating the Nexus up until he got his job back, which he did. And then, which led to TLC, and that was a chairs match that they had, him and Wade Barrett. And we all know how that ended up. Speaking of John Cena, Mick Foley pulled... Well, I don't know if it was Mick Foley's fault, to be honest with you, but number 3 was Mick Foley's three-week retirement. Now, I believe it was 2000, if I remember correctly. Triple H, Mick Foley fought at No Way Out in a Hell in a Cell match, which saw the end, or at least so we thought, of Mick Foley's wrestling career. That was for a month at least, at that point, because WWE... specifically Linda McMahon, brought him back for WrestleMania 2000 and put him in the 4-way and gave him his dream to compete in the main event at WrestleMania. Even though on occasions he nearly did it until he had the carpet yanked from under him. Now, it did happen, like I say. It lasted 3 weeks at the most. And, we all know what happened after that, because he came back in 2003, competed again in 2004, 2005, had that I Quit match, that unbelievable I Quit match with Ric Flair in 2006, and the list goes on and on and on. You get the point. Number 2, Bret Hart wrestling in 2010. Now, going into his match at WrestleMania with Vince McMahon, and I say match and I use that term very loosely, WWE had him advertised as an athlete, basically, a wrestler. He was going to wrestle him. But Anybody with a brain realized that he couldn't wrestle. This guy went through hell since leaving WCW, since he went through that kick that, that basically ended his career from Goldberg. I mean, this guy had a stroke, and he was filed to a wheelchair, and couldn't take a bump, and on the occasions that he did compete in the ring, he was not medically cleared. I mean, the time he wrestled at Vince McMahon, and again I say that term loosely, because it was like watching two old men compete at WrestleMania. And plus, Bret Hart didn't do hardly anything in the match. It was barely the match that happened. The Lumberjacks, who were the Hart family, did most of the work. And then a couple of months later, WWE somehow, for some reason, when he was the general manager era, decided to put the United States Championship belt on him and have him beat The Miz. Again, that didn't go down well. Because, again, Bret Hart didn't do that much in the match. I believe the Hart dynasty did most of the work. I don't know. All in all, they had him advertised. But as we all know, anyone with a brain could think he wasn't going to wrestle. So, there you go. That was number 2. Number 1. Once in a lifetime. Yeah. John Cena and The Rock. John Cena went into a WrestleMania and fought The Miz. And thanks to The Rock, lost his chance to get the WWE title. Rock cost him the WWE Championship. And then the next night on Raw, they challenged and then they set up the match for WrestleMania the following year in Miami, which Rock won. And for the whole year, one full year, they built up that match and said it was once in a lifetime. Boy, were we wrong. And no, it wasn't once in a lifetime, was it? Because we all know what happened the following year. Cena got his revenge and beat The Rock for the WWE Championship. And I believe The Rock said in an interview that he was signed to a 3-match WrestleMania. He signed a contract to a 3-appearance WrestleMania. So his first appearance would be at the WrestleMania where he cost Cena the championship and have him lose to Miz. The following year he would beat Cena in Miami, and then the year after that he would drop the WWE title, beat Punk at Royal Rumble. 2 months later, drop the WWE title to Cena, WrestleMania that year, which was basically what he wanted to do anyway, from what I got told. That was his way of passing the torch to John. But WWE promoting that once in a lifetime. Nah. Rock and Hogan, once in a lifetime. Austin and Hogan, if that went down, once in a lifetime. Nah, didn't work. And all in all, guys, that is the end of that. And, I'll leave the link in the description underneath if you see this on YouTube or SoundCloud. And, you can go on the comments underneath. It's Walk Culture WWE at walkculture.com/WWE. And, you can leave your opinions on that yourself. I'll leave everything in the description below, and you can check it out and see it for yourself. That about wraps it up, ladies and gentlemen, for part 1 of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Hope you enjoyed that, and hope you found that interesting. And I'll be back part 2 with the audio that I did when I recorded the Raw review that I did for the Wrestling Matters channel earlier this week. And I'll be back in part 3 with Smackdown TNA and the usual stuff. And plus, my thoughts on the WWE 2K16 roster. So be sure to check that out, and I'll see you in part 3. Be sure to tune in every single Tuesday now for the Wrestling Matters Podcast Extra, where I'll be hosting a podcast on one promotion and one promotion only. ICW, Insane Championship Wrestling, the hottest promotion in Scotland. Well, I'll be reviewing their shows.
Oh my God!
Talking ICW.
That's 13-14!
And who knows, maybe getting some guests on. So be sure to tune in to the Wrestling Matters Podcast Extra ICW podcast, Insane Championship Wrestling, every Tuesday on YouTube, Podomatic, Stitcher Radio, downloaded free at iTunes, Mixcloud, and SoundCloud. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.
World, look into my eyes. When you see me on a show, when you see these fans, you know you've got the best in the damn world. We are ICW and you're gonna know our name.
Coming to you from the Wrestling Matters channel and, hey, Facebook as well, facebook.com/WM podcast. Let's review Raw. Let's talk Raw. Now, I'm going to get the crap out of the way first. There was a little bit of crap involving Summer Rae apologizing to one Rusev for the actions of what's going taking place between them and Dolph Ziggler. She felt like she made an idiot out of Rusev and all that yada yada yada. And then Rusev, basically Rusev and Summer Rae, mainly Rusev, blamed Dolph Ziggler for what's gone down these past couple of weeks with the shower incident and Lana and this, that and the other. All building towards a mixed tag match. That's what it is, mixed tag. And yeah. All building towards a mixed tag match. And Dolph came out and put an end to it. And threw the mic in the air, basically, his mic in the air. Asked Rusev to catch it. And then Rusev catches a kick to the mouth. But like I say, it's all building towards a mixed tag match at some point. It's just Lana can't get medically cleared at the moment. Something's denying that back, so they're all building it until the point where she eventually gets a medical cleared, and then it's going to be a mixed tag match. When this mixed tag match is going to take place, I do not know. Doubt it's going to be taking place at Night of Champions. I could only see it at Hell in a Cell if it gets there in time. If the clearance gets in time at Hell in a Cell on the pre-show. I think they should just save it for the Survivor Series, to be honest with you. I think it'd be more suitable for the Survivor Series. But anyway. Now, Randy Orton one-on-one with Sheamus. More on Sheamus later on, but I'll get this out the way. It was a good physical match. The rubber match, if you will, because Randy Orton beat him at Battleground, then beat him and then Sheamus won at SummerSlam, so they had to have this match at some point. And it was a good physical match, which led, but the story of the match was Sheamus letting the crowd get to him with the "You look stupid" chant. And he does. He looks stupid. And then Randy Orton manages to hit the RKO and get the victory. But the story of that was after the match, because Randy Orton was attacked by the Wyatt family. Now, the reason being is the Wyatt family obviously saw them talking to Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns saw him, Randy Orton. So they thought he was going to be the tag partner. So they sent a message to Reigns and Ambrose using Randy Orton. Obviously, Orton's not going to be too kindly to that. My guessing from that is going to be Orton's going to be the partner. But then again, we don't know. But all in all, that's the way that went. And speaking of Dean Ambrose, they had a squash match. I say Ambrose and Reigns, they had a squash match with the Ascension. And basically just squashed them. And Wyatt came up on the Tron and said that the Apocalypse would be waiting for them at Night of Champions, waiting for whoever would be the partner. Hence the little situation with Orton. So, who's going to be the tag partner out of this? We'll have to wait and see. My guessing at the moment right now will be Orton, but you never know with WWE. Maybe it will be Eric Rowan. I highly doubt it. I highly hope not, to be honest. I mean, I'm down for a 4-man Wyatt family, but WWE at the moment right now has this thing on 3-man teams. Hence the Divas. More on the Divas later. Now, I'll get to the other points of Raw, which saw the other two loose points of Raw, which saw the Dudley Boys basically owning Los Matadores, warming up for the match with whoever the tag champs are at Night of Champions, because, as announced earlier on, when the Dudleys got in the face of Seth Rollins and A New Day, along with Edge and Christian, great to see Edge and Christian and the Dudleys on the same side, you know, all them great matches they had. But the Dudleys made it clear that next week's Raw, which is the season premiere of Raw, it'll be primetime players getting their rematch against New Day, and the winner goes on to Night of Champions to face the Dudleys. And the Dudleys will be 10-time World Tag Team Champions. And, yeah, they came out and destroyed Los Matadores, basically. El Torito got up on the apron and distracted one of the Los Matadores. I forgot their names, and quite frankly, I don't think no one cares about them, to be honest. And then the guy turned round and got 3D'd. That was it. And then they bullied Los Matador, El Torito on the outside. Devon came over and grabbed him, and then Bubba put him through a table just to send a little message. So that took care of that. And the Cesaro match and Miz, it was okay for what it was, an okay match, but great moment in the match, which was Cesaro wearing JBL's hat, doing the running uppercut on the outside whilst having JBL's hat on the awesome stuff. Story of Miz's match, because Miz got the offense and was working on the ribs from last week, the injured ribs from last week with Cesaro's match with Kevin Owens. But the story of it was Big Show came out looking for revenge because Miz cost Big Show the Intercontinental Championship. And Miz, as he always does, runs away like a pussy. You know. Miz, Big Show, pre-show, anyone? Just saying. Please don't put that on the pay-per-view. Yeah, speaking of Ryback, last week on SmackDown, he got interrupted in an interview by Kevin Owens. He did it. Owens did it again. But Ryback wasn't, taking anything about it. Didn't care about it, to be honest. And, yeah. Kevin Owens, Ryback, anyone? And I was asked this on the podcast last week that I went on. Would that be good for Ryback? Hell yeah, it'll be good for Ryback. What WWE have got to do with Ryback as Intercontinental Champion is test him. Give him better opponents to test him and bring the prestige that he wants to bring to the Intercontinental Championship. Now, I like Kevin Owens Ryback a hell of a lot better than I do Kevin Owens Ryback Big Show. Sorry. So maybe that's the reason why they had the match with Big Show and Ryback on Raw, which cost Big Show the match. And like I said, I like that. I like Kevin Owens Ryback a lot better than I do Big Show and Ryback. Will it happen? Remains to be seen. It seems meant to be seen. It seems it's going down that way. But you never know with WWE. Now, just checking to see what else was there on the Raw. Nothing really much more to talk about. But so, with that being said, let's talk Divas. Divas Revolution. Now, Divas Revolution, which started with Paige and Sasha Banks in a rematch from last week in the Beat the Clock match, which never really got off really because all Paige had to do was beat Sasha within 1 minute 40, and that was never going to happen. So they had the match this week, and it was a good match. It wasn't the best match. It was a good match. The crowd seemed to love it, unlike the Brooklyn crowd. The crowd seemed to love it. I could have swore I heard a chant, "This is awesome." But two good divas going at it. The first NXT champion and the former NXT champion. I liked it. I really did. Tamina get involved, stir things up, and then Paige takes Tamina out, and then the distraction by Naomi allowing Sasha to roll up Paige for the victory. I don't know where that's going to go, but the supremacy is still there, and the Divas Revolution still exists. The only good thing about it was it wasn't in Brooklyn. Nothing against Brooklyn people, but I had a little bit of an issue with the Brooklyn crowd shitting on the Divas match on Raw at that week. I don't know why they did that, but hey, they're entitled to it. But I didn't agree with it, but this match was pretty good, and I liked it, and Sasha makes a statement and proving to Paige at this moment in time at least, that she's the boss. I still don't understand why she's with Team Bad, but hey, that's just my opinion. I don't believe she should be with Team Bad. But anyway. And then later on in the evening, Nikki Bella comes out and gloats, and they talk about this new thing. Nikki Bella next week on Raw will equal the Divas title reign of AJ Lee. They want it to beat it. Now, I don't know why they did this then and there, but Charlotte's put a petition in to have the match that's scheduled for Night of Champions have it on Raw. Will that happen? We have to find that out next week. Or look out for it sometime this week on WWE.com. But either way, no matter what, the record is not going to be that long, or broken that long anyway, because in Night of Champions, Charlotte will be the new Divas champion, and PCB came out and basically put the Bella Twins, or Team Bella, in their place, like they've been doing all this time. And then Charlotte gave an example of what it will probably be like at Night of Champions when she put Nikki Bella, Miss Cena, or as somebody I know on Facebook calls Shira, puts her in the figure eight and makes a tap. Now, I've been very vocal about this. The only reason she's probably getting this, like there's rumours flying around, it's probably true, considering what's been going down, but Cena backstage politicked to allow Nikki Bella to, break the reign of AJ Lee and become the record holder, the longest reigning Divas champion. So, if this does happen, and she does break the record of AJ Lee, we could all blame Cena. But I think it may be WWE's way of trying to erase AJ Lee, period. Because of what, she's out now with CM Punk rather, and all that. Maybe that's her way of trying to erase. That's their way of trying to erase AJ Lee. I don't know. I don't care. The only thing I care about is Charlotte becoming the Divas champion, and that's what's going to happen. So the Bella Twins' little reign of terror, or Team Bella rather, little reign of terror, will end at Night of Champions, if not next week on Raw. And I can't wait for that. As soon as Charlotte becomes Divas champion, the better, because I believe they should build that Divas division around her. It's a smart move to do. She's good. Nothing against Becky or Paige, but she's the star of the Divas division, and she's the future of the Divas division, and at Night of Champions should be the now of the Divas division. Anywho, on to the main point of Raw. Seth Rollins comes out on Raw, antagonizes the crowd, gets on their face, basically brags about himself. Now, basically brags about himself, saying he's the bee's knees and he's the man, and to be honest, he really is. And then realizes he has to have a match with John Cena at Night of Champions as well as Sting. It all sinks in and everything. Sting pops up on the Titantron, standing next to the statue of Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is pissed, but Sting challenges him to come and get it, and just plays games with him all night, which leads into the match that Triple H booked backstage with Seth Rollins while Seth Rollins was talking to Stephanie, which is backstage Seth Rollins, 2 matches in one night. He would face first Ryback, the Intercontinental Champion. Now, this was all Ryback earlier on, because Seth Rollins couldn't get off the ground. Ryback just dominated him, and when Seth tried to get off the ground and get on offense, he basically just pissed Ryback off, which all led to the commercial break that they had, because Seth Rollins managed to take control. And then, after the break, Seth Rollins eventually ended up wrestling the man to the ground, which was good for his sake, because that's the only way you could beat him. Like I say, a good match all in all. I liked it. I didn't have a problem with it. But that wasn't really the main story of the match, because the main story of the match was just as when Seth Rollins had Ryback beat after kicking him in the face with an enziguri, Sting pops up on the Titantron with the statue and says, and just to remind Seth really that he was still waiting for him to come and get his statue, and realizing that he is, too preoccupied with other things, which allowed Ryback to get the victory out of nowhere with a small package and beat the world champion. Future title match down the road, we'll have to wait and see. But Sting was playing mind games all night, and then as that ended, Sting popped up back on the Titantron, started doing a little pop-up thing, a little pop-up thing, which was hilarious, and it proceeds to put a Sting mask on the statue. I loved it, mate. I thought it was hilarious. And then later on in the evening, Triple H also booked Seth Rollins in a match in a 6-man tag with New Day. Oh boy. And then went up against PTP and John Cena. US title thing. And it was a great match. A great 6-man tag. Although Seth Rollins didn't really do much in this. I loved how Michael Cole said, "Oh yeah, New Day and Seth Rollins are in control." Seth didn't do that much. He was smart. I'll give him his due. He was smart and let New Day do all the work, because he already had a match earlier on in the evening. But Cena's team couldn't get off the ground until he eventually tagged in Primetime Players, Titus O'Neil and that. Primetime Players raised hell, and then, Cena ended up getting the win by beating Kofi, as Kofi got tagged in from Seth Rollins while Seth Rollins was in the STFU. Now, that wasn't the main story. Good 6-man tag. I loved it. Pretty good way to close out the main event. But that wasn't the best way, because the way that Raw ended was Sting turned on the lights. He was out in I believe it was the parking lot, with the statue, and behind the statue was a trash compactor, i.e., as we call it over here, the binman. You wake up every morning and once a week maybe, and you put your bins out, and then the binman comes in and collects them. That's what was standing outside behind the statue, which was hilarious. And then Sting proceeds to put the statue into the bin, toying with it at first, and then just shoving it right into the bin thing, the trash compactor, and crushing the binman, crushing the statue. The statue basically got destroyed, and that pissed off Rollins even more. And then Sting gets on the binman and goes, "See you at Night of Champions, Seth." Just a fun evening, and horrible night for Seth Rollins. And I've got no beef with Seth Rollins. I like Seth Rollins, but I'm pretty much done with him as World Heavyweight Champion. I want a new champion, and hopefully it will be Sting. Now, one thing I forgot to mention was during the first bit of Raw, Sheamus came out and little reminder that he was Money in the Bank, and Seth may go from having 2 matches at Night of Champions to 3. I don't think that's going to happen. It will be 2 matches. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think I'm hoping the WWE, should Sting win the championship at Night of Champions, I hope they will allow Sting to have at least a little bit of a title run with it. And not, have him beat Seth Rollins at that night and then basically take it away from him right there and then. Because that won't go down well with the crowd. I mean, you heard the pop from Sting. You heard what the reaction was when Sting picked up the belt in Brooklyn. The crowd obviously want the champion. They want Sting to be world champion. They want Sting to be the WWE champion. They want Sting to fulfill his legacy and become WCW, NWA, TNA, even though WWE won't acknowledge that, and WWE world champion. So it's a simple thing, and he deserves it considering what took place at WrestleMania with Triple H. He needs a win. He needs a solid push thing, like a push up, and to bounce back from, the Triple H fiasco at WrestleMania. Why did he lose at WrestleMania? I do not know, and I'll never know that to this very day, no matter what reasons were. At no reason did Paul Levesque need to go over Sting at WrestleMania. But anyway, I believe Sheamus will do this. There's talk of him doing it at the big pay-per-views, which were Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, at WrestleMania. Can't see him doing it at WrestleMania, because it's already been done. Unless they do it in like a shocking kind of way and not allow anybody to believe that he's going to do it at WrestleMania and do it out the blue and make people think, I wasn't expecting that. I mean, we kind of expected Seth Rollins to do it at this year's WrestleMania. It was just a case of when, and he did. They want to do that with Sheamus. If they're going to do that again with Sheamus, they want to do it so the crowd least expect it. And, and the internet doesn't expect it. Oh yeah, we're going to do this. And then boom, he just does it right there and then. And have the people go out and think, I wasn't expecting Sheamus to cash in. That kind of way. But I doubt that happening. I can see the Royal Rumble and Survivor Series. But I believe, or even TLC, but I believe Sheamus will eventually cash in on a Raw show. I think he's more leaning towards a Monday Night Raw show. I might be wrong on this. This is just my assumption. I believe. But at the end of the day, like I said on that podcast that I was on last week with Michael Larkin, shout out to you, Michael, I don't believe that's going to take place. And I don't think it'll have as much impact as Seth Rollins had. Because at the end of the day, people don't even care about Sheamus. Sheamus is going to cash in, become world champion. People are going to be like, oh well, not give a fuck. And it's hard to take Sheamus serious considering the way he looks. I mean, I love Sheamus, but bring back the old badass that first came in the WWE. The whole badass and, love to fight Sheamus. Now he looks like a fucking cockatoo or something. And Seth Rollins owned him on Raw. Basically owned him on Raw because Seth came out and said they had a statue to go and collect. And Sheamus went, a statue? Do you have any idea how ridiculous you sound? And then Seth came back and went, do you have any idea how ridiculous you look? Total ownage. That's why people can't take Sheamus serious, because of the way he looks. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yes, people got their wishes. Sunday Segway got their wish of being, of him turning heel. But, it just doesn't work. Just doesn't work. I want the old Sheamus back, but highly unlikely that's going to happen. All in all, a good show. A good episode of Raw. And like last week, I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10 in Sunday Segway terms. And a 3 out of 5, or 3.5 out of 5 this time around. I didn't think it needed a 4, to be honest. But a 3.5 out of 5 is, as nice as I'm going to do it. Because it was a good Raw. Wasn't the best Raw, but it was a good Raw. I liked it. Yes, there was some stupidity on it and some daft things that happened and all that with the Summer Rae shit and everything. They all built up to the mixed tag match. But all in all, it was a good show, I thought. If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not check out their Facebook page at facebook.com/WM podcast and like the page and show your support to the podcast that stands up for professional wrestling, the Wrestling Matters podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Be sure to tune in each and every Wednesday for the Progress Wrestling Podcast. That's right, each and every week on Wednesdays, for the time being at least, I will be reviewing their shows from their on-demand service, Demand Progress. So be sure to check out the hottest promotion to come out of London. That's right, it's Progress Wrestling. This is Progress. This is a podcast on Progress. Every Wednesday on SoundCloud, YouTube, OSW TV, and every other podcasting site that matters. Be sure to check it out. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wrestling Matters podcast. Hope you enjoyed the audio of the Raw review there, taken from a video that you can see on the Wrestling Matters channel there. And without further ado, let's get into SmackDown. And we'll do NXT as well. Why not? Wyatt family kicked off SmackDown with this week, issuing warnings to all WWE locker room and to any potential player or any potential wrestler in the WWE locker room who's thinking about going to be the tag team partner of I said that right, didn't I? Tag team partner of Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. Because if they do, they'll get exactly what they got on Raw. Well, what they gave Randy Orton on Raw. I don't want to say it anymore. I'm losing the plot, I know. But, nothing more needs to be said in that respect. Sorry, guys, I'm just a little distracted of something there, but it's all good. It's all done now. Now, Cesaro beat The Miz in a rematch, and he got the victory over Miz because of what happened on Raw when Big Show came down looking to chase The Miz. Well, looking to catch The Miz. Miz ran out like a little coward, and Big Show took his aggression out on Cesaro by knocking him out. But heroically fighting through his still injured midsection, the Swiss Superman reversed Miz's kick attempt and locked in the sharpshooter to get the victory. Sharpshooter, all about what happened, his tag team partner Tyson Kidd, dedicated to him, if you will. Paige and Sasha Banks ended in a no contest because, well, all the divas got involved, quite frankly. On Monday, Paige's showdown against Sasha Banks ended in a controversial pin prior to their SmackDown rematch. When it looked as if the Divas Revolution might spin into chaos, the referee opted to eject Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Naomi and Tamina from ringside. That would not stop order from ultimately breaking down, though. In the match that followed, Paige took advantage of the referee checking on her to take down the boss, igniting a fierce post-match brawl that pulled in both TCB and BAD. Will Charlotte be the next Divas champion? Bloody hope so. Sheamus again, just like he did on Raw, taunts Seth Rollins, because Seth Rollins still assumes that he has 2 matches at the Night of Champions pay-per-view. But if Mr. Sheamus has anything to say about it, he may very well have 3, because as we all know, Sheamus is still Mr. Money in the Bank. Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and Jimmy Uso in the New Day ended in a no contest. That's because the Wyatt family struck again, and heeding the warning of what Wyatt family said, they did exactly the same thing to Jimmy Uso as what they did on Raw to Randy Orton. And Wyatt family may have gone too far, but I think Mr. Reigns may be very angry with Mr. Ambrose since it was his idea. The Ascension defeat Lucha Dragons. Now, thanks to, in part, a distraction by Stardust, the Ascension overcome the Lucha Dragons with a Fall of Man. The Cosmic Wasteland then continued their assault on the Lucha Dragons after the match. Now, I like this, to be honest. This Cosmic Wasteland that's going down with Cody Rhodes and Stardust and the Ascension. And I don't like it because of the fact that it's together, but this might give the Ascension a new direction to go. You know, joining up with somebody like Stardust, Cody Rhodes, and who's learned from Randy Orton when he was in Legacy, so maybe he can pass that knowledge on to the Ascension and help them along the way, because, well, let's face it, the Ascension don't half need it. I mean, all they've been known for has been the modern day poor man's Legion of Doom, and back in NXT they were dominant as hell, longest reigning tag team champions in NXT, so they need something, and hopefully this Cody Rhodes situation, the Cosmic Wasteland as they call themselves, it may work. We shall see though, time will tell. Seth beats Ryback in the main event. Rematch from Raw. This time it was a lumberjack match, and Kevin Owens got involved and cost Ryback the match. Now, that is the end of the SmackDown main talking points. Not much to talk about there, and I don't want to talk about that in full detail at least. But I will say this, and I want to talk in a way about this. WWE announced the signing of Kana, a Japanese female wrestler who was seen at TakeOver, I believe, in Brooklyn, standing next to Ric Flair. Well, WWE have signed her, and she'll be coming to NXT very, very soon. She will officially report to the WWE Performance Center in Orlando in late September. Over the course of her career, 11-year career, Kana has become the most exciting woman ever to compete in Japan. She has appeared in many organizations throughout the country and has held multiple championships. Last month, Kana made a surprise appearance at the NXT Brooklyn show, standing next to Ric Flair in the audience. We are very excited, the WWE are very excited to have her and join the NXT roster, said Triple H, WWE's Executive Vice President of Talent, Creative and Live Events. Her exciting in-ring style will make it immediate impact on the roster, so another slice of the pie, so to speak, to add a little bit of something to the already NXT Women's Division. Not that I'd say not that it needed, but hey, there's always room for improvement. And also, going into the NXT main talking points, I'll talk about them in a second. It's been announced for October 7th at TakeOver, a return bout between the Divas Champion, or the NXT Women's Champion, I should say, Bayley and Sasha Banks. Except this is going to be a little bit different. For the first time, to my knowledge, this will be a 30-minute Iron Man match. But in this occasion, we'll call it Iron Woman match. That's right. The rivalry between two members of the Four Horsewomen will come to its conclusion probably at the TakeOver show. And things spiced up on Twitter, a little back and forth argument between the two. So this will be probably their final match, and all of that will take place in October 7th. So something very much looking forward to. Now, things are a little bit different on NXT this week, but we'll go through it. Carmella wins her job match. After coming up short against Eva Marie, Carmella was looking to get back on the right track against newcomer Peyton Royce. The feisty princess of Staten Island and her opponent tried to end things early, trading roll-ups on the canvas. The taller Peyton used her size to her advantage, keeping Carmella grounded, but there was no stopping the Prince of Staten Island. Carmella fought through and got the victory with the flatliner. Now for matches in the Dusty Rose tournament, tag team tournament. Dana Brooke beat Billie Kay as well. I won't talk about that match. But Johnny Gargano, I hope I said that right, and Tommaso Ciampa defeat Tyler Breeze and, of all people, Bull Dempsey. I saw this on YouTube. I saw a bit of it on the network as well. Great little match. And the new boys get the victory in advance, which was obvious. From what it seems, they're building something out of this match between Tyler Breeze and Bull Dempsey, and no doubt these two will end up meeting a TakeOver, because I don't think Bull will be too happy with what happened after the match, because Prince Pity attacked him after the match, losing, if you will. Now, this is what was a little different this last match, because it was Finn Balor and Samoa Joe defeating the Lucha Dragons. But it was a little different, because the arena changed for some reason. I believe they might have did this on a different show to record it for this. The first round of the Dusty Rose Tag Team Classic came to a close with a special bout from Providence, Rhode Island, as former NXT Tag Team Champions, Lucha Dragon, returned to clash with a new duo of Finn Balor, the NXT Champion, and Samoa Joe. Balor gave the team his team the upper hand early in the bout, connecting with Sling Blade on Sin Cara before taking out both Dragons with a Daredevil dive off the top rope. But just as Balor was picking up steam, Sin Cara cut him off with a tilt-the-world backbreaker that put the Lucha Dragons in control of the bout. Despite Kalisto and Sin Cara's experience as a team, the NXT champion persevered and fought back to his corner, sending Samoa Joe into the fray. The Bruiser steamrolled through his opponents, taking out the Lucha Dragons with staggering strikes and vicious throws. The new duo reserved their spot in the next round of the Classic when Samoa Joe hit Kalisto with a muscle buster, then followed up by the double stomp off the top rope from the NXT champion. Joe and Balor look extra impressive in their first outing as a team. Will anyone be able to stop them as the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic tournament goes on? Be interesting to see, though. Yeah, very interesting tag team, Samoa Joe and Finn Balor. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the NXT main talking points and the SmackDown main talking points as well, plus a few extra things as well. Join us after the break, or join me after this quick time out with Impact Wrestling. Has it improved from last week? Well, we shall see. If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not follow the Wrestling Matters podcast now on Twitter at WM Podcast for all professional wrestling news. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters podcast. Now, I'm just going to talk about the main talking points of TNA, ladies and gentlemen, because this whole Hardy assistant thing is, quite frankly, a disgrace. I don't know where they're going with that, and quite frankly, I don't want to know. Like I say, whoever came up with that angle wants shooting. Tag match, EC3 and Tyrus took on Matt Hardy and Rockstar. Yeah, Gordon Bennett. And Tyrus and EC3 won that one via pinfall, and that's all I'm going to talk. I mean, that personal assistant things, like I said last week, who's fucking booking that? Tell you. Jeff Jarrett demanded is the King of the Mountain title back. Jeff Jarrett guarantees the Global Force Wrestling team will defeat the TNA team and give him 100% control of TNA. He demands Bobby Roode return his King of the Mountain championship. Towel in hand, Roode refuses to return it. Jarrett issues a warning, but Karen interrupts, saying she has 5 children at home and doesn't need 2 more to look after. She tells Jeff fighting Roode jeopardizes all he stands to gain next week. Then she tells Roode to consider his spot because you're a week away from answering to my husband. Karen says Dixie is finished at a disadvantage. She tells Roode to think about that before saying Jeff we're leaving. Galloway finds himself with Kenny King, Jesse Goodaz, and Eli Drake. They refuse to stand with him against GFW. A brawl ensues between them and Robbie E, Micha, and Tigre Uno. EC3 takes Jeff Hardy a box of his merchandise. He tells Hardy to sell all of his merchandise and sell all of his creatures some fresh swag. Also, backstage as well, the Dollhouse make an impact on the beautiful people by taking out Madison Rain. 6-man tag team match, which saw Drake, King, and Jesse versus Robbie E, Tigre Uno, and Micah. That's spelled M-I-C-A-H. If that's pronounced wrong, I apologize. And that ended with the X-Division champion unleashes a fury of offense before tagging in Mika. Drake backs Mika into his corner before distracting the official. King and Jesse capitalize with a bunch of cheap shots. Drake team maintains control of the match until Mika drops them with a double clothesline. Like I say, if that's pronounced wrong, guys, I apologize. Tigre Uno tags in and clears the ring. Everything breaks down. The action spills all over the impact zone in the ring. King catches Robbie E with a swinging backbreaker soon after Robbie E finds himself delivering a boom drop to Jesse for the win. And Robbie E's team got the victory. Now, Knockouts champion Gail Kim versus Knockouts Championship Gail Kim versus Brooke. Which ended with Lady Tapper going face-to-face with Awesome Kong. Brooke defeats Gail Kim by DQ because Tapper got involved, and then Awesome Kong comes out. And Lady Tapper and Awesome Kong go face-to-face, GFW versus TNA. Where's that going to go? Oh, yeah. I disagree with this in somewhat, but hey. World Tag Team Champions, Wolves versus Trevor Lee and Brian Myers for the Tag Team titles. Rematch from last week, and Richards delivers a suplex to Lee before tagging Edwards. The Wolves double team Lee and make a pin attempt that Myers breaks up at the count of 2. Lee and Myers send Richards out of the ring before double teaming Eddie Edwards and scoring a near 3 count. Edwards dodges a high knee from Lee that connects with Myers. Eddie rolls Lee up for 2 there. Wolves deliver pop-up, followed by Force of Nature just before 3. Sanjay Dutt pulls the official out of the ring. Earl Hebner rushes from the back to takes out Sanjay Dutt, literally takes out Sanjay Dutt. He climbs into the ring. Wolves deliver the power driver. He counts to 3, and the Wolves reclaim the TNA World Tag Team titles. Where's this going to go? We'll have to find out next week on Lockdown. Going to be great, though, but I think they're doing this angle too soon. A resilient hero. Apparently, Melendez and Eric Young are going to have one more match. What for, I don't know, but this angle's now getting ridiculous. Which leads to the main event, which actually involved Eric Young. I'll get to that in a second. Now, it was main event lumberjack match. Chris Mordetsky, or many of you people may know him as Chris Masters, took on Drew Galloway. Now, that ended with Galloway and Chris exchanging huge chops before returning to the ring action. Galloway drops him with a Future Shock DDT. Instead of making the cover, Galloway stalks him from the corner. Brian Myers and Trevor Lee pick Galloway's ankle and pull him out the ring. The Wolves and Lashley take out GFT. Jeff Jarrett rushes to the ring with a guitar in hand. As Jarrett's poised to smash the guitar over Galloway's head, Eric Young makes the save. He and Jarrett shove one another. Young takes the guitar and smashes Galloway over the head with it. And Chris gets the win to claim the advantage for GFW in next week's Lethal Lockdown. Where does Eric Young stand in all this? Is he with TNA? Is he with GFW? Does he just hate Galloway? I guess we'll find out next week. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the TNA main talking points. Stay with me because right after this quick timeout, it's Ring of Honor. So stay tuned. Be sure to tune in each and every Wednesday for the Progress Wrestling Podcast. That's right, each and every week on Wednesdays, for the time being at least, I will be reviewing their shows from their on-demand service, Demand Progress. So be sure to check out the hottest promotion to come out of London. That's right, it's Progress Wrestling. This is Progress. This is a podcast on Progress. Every Wednesday on SoundCloud, YouTube, OSW TV, and every other podcasting site that matters. Be sure to check it out. Wrestling matters, wrestling fans. Be sure to tune in every single Tuesday now for the Wrestling Matters Podcast Extra, where I'll be hosting a podcast on one promotion and one promotion only. ICW, Insane Championship Wrestling, the hottest promotion in Scotland, where I'll be reviewing their shows.
Oh my God!
Talking ICW.
That's 13-14!
And who knows, maybe getting some guests on. So be sure to tune in to the Wrestling Matters Podcast Extra ICW podcast, Insane Championship Wrestling, every Tuesday on YouTube, Podomatic, Stitcher Radio, downloaded free at iTunes, Mixcloud, and SoundCloud. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.
World, look into my eyes. When you see me on a show, when you see these fans, you know you've got the best in the damn world. We are ICW and you're gonna know our name.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the next part of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Now I'm going to talk Ring of Honor Championship Edition. An action-packed tag team match kicked off Ring of Honor with Young Bucks going against the Addiction for the World Tag Team titles. After the intros of the champions, the Young Bucks decided to super kick the jaw right out of Christopher Daniels. Good God. But Chris Sabin got ejected, and as he was trying to get ejected, he manages to come running back, but runs right into a super kick from the Young Bucks. Great match, action-packed, just great tag team wrestling at its best, man. Great tag team offense. two of the top teams of the world going at it. It was just, great stuff. After the commercial break they had, the pace slowed a little bit in the match, but it was still a great tag team match. Kingdom got involved because apparently whoever won the match got the Kingdom and had to defend the titles against the Kingdom at the All-Star Extravaganza pay-per-view. But the Kingdom's involvement cost the Young Bucks the match. Now, that left Nigel Mcguinness to come down and sort it out. And he added, after calling the Kingdom wankers, he added that the Young Bucks will be added to the match at All-Star Extravaganza. So, it's going to be a triple threat match for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships. It's going to be the Addiction, Kaz, and the almighty Christopher Daniels, and I use that term loosely, going up against the Kingdom and the Young Bucks. So that's what the Kingdom get. They had a simple tag team match, and because of their stupidity, it's now made into a three-way. And that left the Ring of Honor World Championship match involving Roderick Strong and Jay Lethal. Now, I didn't see the 60-minute Iron Man, or the 60-minute match they had, but it seems they picked up where they left off, because both men shook hands and then it just turned into a fist fight. But I believe, despite the involvement of Donovan Dijak and that, it was a back and forth even match, fast-paced, wrestling at its best, and I believe Steve Corino called it right. Instant classic. Both men showing why they are the top guys in Ring of Honor, and it was just great to watch. And Strong kicked out of one lethal injection, but he just wouldn't die in the match until Lethal manages to hit another lethal injection and get the victory to retain. But it's going to be difficult to know where Roderick Strong goes after this, because he won't be getting I don't think he'll be getting another title shot, and the next man to get a title shot is Kyle O'Reilly, and he'll be getting that at the All-Star Extravaganza. And I believe Bobby Fish will be getting a shot at the TV title as well. But, just a great epic match, back and forth, high impact stuff. Yes, Roderick Strong, it wasn't merely one-on-one because he had to fight off most of the House of Truth, but he kept up with Jay Lethal and proved why he is Mr. Ring of Honor. But like I say, the question is, where does Roderick Strong go after this? It's going to be very, very, very interesting. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, great match, high impact offense, great 2 matches on Ring of Honor this week in this championship edition. If you haven't seen it, go and find it and watch it because you'll be thoroughly entertained. And I'm giving this a 5 out of 5. Now, I'm going to take another quick time out, and then after the break, I'm going to go into an in-depth discussion and give my views and opinions on WWE 2K16 roster. So, I'll be right back right after this, and we'll talk about the roster. If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not check out their Facebook page at facebook.com/WM podcast and like the page and show your support to the podcast that stands up for professional wrestling, the Wrestling Matters podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not follow the Wrestling Matters podcast now on Twitter at WM podcast for all professional wrestling news. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the final part of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Now, hope you've enjoyed the show. But like we promised, we're going to talk about the WWE 2K16 roster. Now, I'm going to go through the list of who's going to be on and who isn't. Well, who's going to be on, basically. And, I leave you guys to decide what's going to happen. You can get this on WWE.com. I'm just going to read out and give my views and opinions if I need to. So, the roster will include, starting from the top all the way down to the bottom, Bad News Barrett, Booker T, Colonel Mustafa, Daniel Bryan, Emma, Eve Marie. How the hell has she got on there? She's only just came in. I mean, alright, she was a part of Total Divas and that, but she only started as a wrestler. Oh well. Anyway, Finn Balor, I already knew about that. General Adnan, John Cena, Kalisto, Kane, of course, and suck thingers about it, it's going to be Corporate Kane, Lord Steven Regal, Paige, Seth Rollins, Sin Cara, Stone Cold Steve Austin, that's right, Summer Rae, Tamina, Triple H, Adam Rose, Bo Dallas, Brie Bella, Brock Lesnar, Goldust, Heath Slater. Now, let me get to the second part of this, right, Heath Slater, Hideo Itami, Jack Swagger, Kevin Owens, Neville, Nikki Bella, Ric Flair, Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, Stardust, Tyler Breeze, Ultimate Warrior, Sting. Yeah, franchise is on. Teased you with that one a little bit. Zack Ryder, Alicia Fox, Bam Bam Bigelow, Big Show, Cameron, Cesaro, Darren Young, Diamond Dallas Page, Dolph Ziggler. Welcome return to Finlay. Gonna be interested to see him on there. Maybe he's a part of a WCW thing, I don't know. But yeah. Oh, Finlay. Fifth Finlay versus Lord Steven Regal. That's a feud I'll make. Kevin Nash, Layla, now former Divas champion, former WWE Diva. She's now retired. Lex Luger, The Miz, Naomi, Sheamus, Randy Orton. That's right. Titus O'Neil, Tyson Kidd, Aiden English, Vaudevillains, Andre the Giant, Batista, Curtis Axel, Chris Jericho, Dean Ambrose, Edge, Eric Rowan, Fandango, JBL, hopefully the wrestler, not the commentator, Luke Harper, Macho Man Randy Savage, Ravishing Rick Rude, very happy about that, Natalia, R-Truth, Ryback, Santino Marella, Simon Gotch, I believe the Vaudevillains, did I say Sergeant Slaughter, Stephanie McMahon, Undertaker, The Rock, Billy Gunn, Bret Hart, Cactus Jack, British Bulldog, Christian, and the final part is Damian Sandow, D'Lo Brown, that's going to be interesting, Dude Love, Farouk, Haku, Honky Tonk Man, Jake Roberts, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, yes, reform the old Hart Foundation, it's going to be epic, Karma, which to you guys you may know as The Godfather, Ken Shamrock, Mankind, Three Faces of Holy is on, Mr. McMahon, The Giant, and I believe that's the Big Show, Rikishi, Shane McMahon, Shawn Michaels, Van Vader, and X-Pac. That is an interesting lineup, I don't mind telling you. And also, if you pre-order WWE 2K16, you get Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator. That's right, you heard me correct. The Terminator. You get to play as the Terminator. I'm still considering whether or not to get that, but it's going to be highly unlikely I will. I mean, why the hell would I want to sit on the wrestling game and play the Terminator? And the only reason he's on there, the only reason they're doing this is because he was in the WWE Hall of Fame. Put him in the Hall of Fame, and I know for a fact they probably came up with some sort of a deal to allow him to be on the game. But at the moment right now, I'm not interested. I'm interested in the game, but I'm not interested in getting Arnold Schwarzenegger. Will I still do? I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. But all in all, that is the roster as well. It's good to see some old faces as well. D'Lo Brown, who I've actually met before. Farouk, Dude Love, Honky Tonk, and the list goes on and on. Old school blend in with new school. And more than likely, probably guess there'll be some DLCs along the way as well. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the roster. Hope you've enjoyed that. You know, give your opinions, give your views on that. If you want to get me on Twitter at Tony_Walker, at WM Podcast, or leave it in the comments box on the Wrestling Matters channel where you can see and hear this podcast as well. AJW Wrestling Matters for that. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the podcast. Hope you've enjoyed it. Just one quick thing before I go as well. I'm still trying to get in touch with Total Wrestling T-Side and get more information about their upcoming show at the back end of October. I haven't heard it out yet, so we'll have to look out for that. I'll get into it, don't worry guys, I'll get into it. They started this and I'll finish it, no doubt. But also guys, if you are in Birkenhead, I believe that's in Liverpool, and you're there at the market, get yourself over there, because Mystery Island, make your plans now, because Nigel Mcguinness is going to be there October 30th at 2:30 until 4:30. Get an autograph with the guy, you know, get an autograph with him, or hell, get a photo with him, or hell, get both, or hell, VIP it. I don't know. Autograph is £8. Photo is £8. Combine them, you get £14 for the combo, and VIP is £22. So what that is in US money, I do not know. But that is your chance, October 30th, to go and meet Nigel McGuinness at Mystery Island. Part of Mystery Island at Birkenhead Market. For more information, call 07476 381 389 for more information. So there you go, guys. That is the end of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Hope you've enjoyed it. Check it out on youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters and soundcloud.com/wrestling_matters_podcast. And until next time, guys, check out the ICW Progress Wrestling podcasts, and I'll see you soon. Peace.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change! Professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up!
Yes, 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 yes!
Yes! Yes! That's 13-14!
Cena, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so.